Hello, this is Dr. Martin Sellers, Dean of the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, coming to you again with a program that we call American Culture, Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. This program started nearly a year ago, and the purpose of it is to recognize and understand how our American culture has developed, particularly in view of the programs that we have available here at Lincoln Memorial University and in the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Science. How do those programs affect our students as they leave, go into the work world, or go on to further schooling? And how does what we teach and what students learn affect our culture? There's a lot of discussion out here in the world about culture, what it means, its impact on the economy, on our history, on our sense of lifestyle, our communities, and that's I think the crux of it, is what we're trying to get at. And we've done, not me personally, but the people that have been on this broadcast in the past past programs have done a wonderful job at expressing that. Today's program is all about graduate programs, and we're going to focus on the graduate programs that are available in the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. Let me say that we have a few wonderful guests with us today. We have Dr. Michael Toomey, Professor of History and Director of Appalachian Studies and Assistant Dean. We have Dr. Mary Ann Thrush, Chair of Department of Social Sciences and Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice. Dr. Stephen Adkins, Director of the Master of Public Administration Program and Assistant Professor of Political Science. We also have a few students with us. We have Michelle Morales, who's a student in our Criminal Justice Program, Master's Program. She'll be with us, joining us by phone. We also have Brendan Kelly, an MPA student, Master of Public Administration, and also Kayla Luck, who's a Master of Public Administration student as well. Lots of folks to say a lot of good things about what we do here at LMU. And before I go on, I'm looking outside. The sun is out, but what I hear from the weather, it's going to be dastardly here shortly. So we're all glad we're sitting inside this booth, outside of whatever weather might happen. Now I'm thinking about it. I hope my truck windows are up. I'm not sure if they are. And if they aren't, we'll have a swimming pool inside of my Ford Ranger. But either way, I usually say a few things about LMU. I'm very proud to be here. I'm proud to work with such an excellent faculty and administrators. We have a bunch of administrators who run programs here at LMU. Their hearts are in it. They live and die, literally, to ensure the one thing that we're all hopeful about, and that is success of students moving forward to become the very best they can be. That's what we're all about at LMU. That's what our mission is. Our mission is focused on the Appalachian region. We do a wonderful job at ensuring that we're bringing an education opportunity to everybody here in the region and beyond. And let me say this, if you're listening to this broadcast, and you must be if you're hearing what I'm saying, you're obviously listening, and you have any hope at improving your education, if you haven't done so already, or if you're in the throes of doing so, you may be coming out of the military with some GI benefits, as I did. You may have a 2-year degree. You may have no degree. Maybe you took a couple of courses someplace. Maybe you have some dual credit from a high school back in the past. Whatever your situation is, if you want to go further and you want to do so at least cost, at maximum excellence, you want to give us a call here, give our admissions people a call. Very simple. LMU homepage, click on admissions, call the number. Very simple. And I promise you, we will have something here that will allow you to focus your energies on the passion that you have in your heart. Here in Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences, we do we do a little bit about everything. We have programs in art, in history, in political science, in media communication, philosophy, religion, social work, psychology, political science, criminal justice, English. We do about everything, and we are certainly proud of what we do and hopeful about your future here at LMU. LMU is a growing concern. If you pass by this university property, if you've been around the community for a while, in the past 10 years, come on campus, left campus, You blink your eyes and we have a new building. You blink again and we have sports in the valley of the sports developing. You see the fences going up down there on Old 63. There's a lot of movement, a lot of change, and it's all positive. I can't think of anything negative going on here. All positive, and the sole purpose is student success, and that's what we're all about. We have a ton of degree programs. They are focused in our 9 schools: Allied Health, School of Business, the Carter Moores School of Education, the School of Math and Sciences, the Kaler School of Nursing, the DeBus School of Osteopathic Medicine, the Duncan School of Law located in Knoxville, the College of Veterinary Medicine here in Virginia, the Paul V. Hamilton School of Arts and Humanities, and Social Sciences, which is what I'm working associated with, as are the 2 professors who are here with us today. Again, many majors, many minors. We also have an Arts in the Gap program focused on the culture of the region in terms of arts and humanities, and how the programs and the craftsmanship and the music have developed over time. That program comes about mainly in the summer, in June and July, but there are some programs that we do and events that we initiate during the year. But in the summer, we will have the Acoustic Music Week, again, led by Steve Golly, who's famous in the area and across the nation and across the world for his acoustic Pinnacle group that play right here that home based right here in Claiborne County and play all over the world. We're lucky to have him teaching in Acoustic Music Week, as well as the others that he brings with him. We have the Young Writers program also, which has taken off. We have hundreds of students from around the region come here across the nation to learn more about writing. High school students mainly, some middle school students. We have so many things going on. We have a theater production coming up here real soon in the end of April. Again, check our events calendar for that. It is the Fiddler on the Roof. Many of you are familiar with, but you're not familiar with our rendition. You have to come and see this play. It will be an excellent piece of work. And if you come and pay your $5, you can get in free. Or if you go to the homepage here through our school and click on, you'll go to a page called Eventbrite. You can get your tickets through Eventbrite. And if you can't afford the $5, call me and I'll get you in, I promise, for free. We have an honors program also. I like to talk a little bit about that. We have about 40 students who are distinguished by the fact that they are taking regular courses that are on contract, where they do a little bit of extra work, some community service, a longer paper, some extra research alongside a scholarly professor who's doing his or her own research. And so they're getting a look into what graduate work would be all about by taking those honors courses and getting that distinguished mark of excellence on their transcript and diploma, leading to a diploma of excellence as well. Speaking of graduate work, that's what we're going to be doing today, is talking about graduate school. You may not know this, but we have 7 doctoral degrees, terminal degrees here, over 15 master's degree programs at Lincoln Memorial University. So our students can move through an undergraduate program knowing that at the end of that undergraduate program, we have a close to a 95% placement rate. That includes jobs and graduate school. So students leaving LMU at the undergraduate level in any of our programs should be mindful of the fact, and those of you listening who are on your way here in the fall or in the summer or thinking about coming here, 95% placement rate is pretty darn good. I'd like to match that with any of the schools around us or in Tennessee. Some of the programs are higher. Nursing has 100% placement rate for those looking for a job. Not everybody's looking for a job, but some might be going on to doing other things, taking over a business for parents or whatever. But those who are looking for a job, going on to graduate school, 95% placement rate. So going through an undergraduate program here is a very, very healthy, future-oriented aspect of careerism, if you will. And we have a lot of programs, professional programs and graduate programs to choose from. But before I go on, let me ask our guests to do some self-introductions here, tell a little bit about who they are, where they come from, how it is they got to LMU, some of their professional degrees as we talk to the professors and our undergraduate students. And I'll start with Dr. Michael Toomey, who's to my left, professor of history. He's the assistant dean of arts, humanities, and social sciences. Dr. Toomey?
Hi, I'm Michael Toomey. I'm been here, I guess this is my 9th year at LMU. I got here by way of public history. I worked at the Historical Society for 8 years before coming to LMU, and before that at various colleges, full-time adjunct here, there, and everywhere. I'm a native Tennessean, born in Memphis, raised in Chattanooga, and I've lived in the Knoxville area since 1982. Came to see the World's Fair and just decided to stay.
Very good. And you live out here in Campbell County, am I right? Yes. Dr.
I live in Anderson County.
Anderson County,
near Clinton. It's about an hour's drive.
Okay, all right. So I consider you local and lifelong. Dr. Mary Ann Thrush, sitting next to me, Chair of Social Sciences, Assistant Professor of Criminal Justice. She's leading our graduate program at this time. Dr. Thrush?
That's a lot. I'm from Indiana originally. My bachelor's degree is in foreign languages, my master's is in social work, and my PhD is in criminal justice. And I got here because I was looking on the internet late one night, and there was the job, and I applied, and 2 days later I was coming up here to LMU, and it's been a love affair ever since. This is my 3rd year.
A little while ago, Dr. Thrush and I were in the office, and she promised me she would stay here forever. So that's a promise I intend to hold you to. I should have introduced myself, too. I apologize. Martin Sellers, Dean of Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences. I come from the Northeast, although I was telling one of our trustees the other day that I've been in the South longer now than I have grown up and lived in the North. So I consider myself a transplant by virtue of having been in North Carolina for 15 years and here in Tennessee for a little bit longer. So I don't know what that means. It means something, but I still haven't lost my Yankee twang, have I, Gary? Gary Daniels, our producer here. I appreciate working with you, Gary, because you make me feel like it's all worth it. You know what I'm saying? So, but he's not going to hone in on that Yankee statement I just talked about. And we'll also have with us Dr. Stephen Atkins, lifelong resident of Tennessee, director of the MPA Master Public Administration Program, assistant professor of political science, legal counsel. Dr. Atkins, tell us about yourself.
That's a lot of stuff. So I'm Dr. Stephen Atkins. I have my law degree from the Cumberland School of Law at Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. I have an MPA and a PhD from the University of Tennessee, and I was born in Lexington, Kentucky, but lifelong volunteer until this year. I'm a rail splitter now. So, and I'm very excited about that, and just happy to be a part of this community.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we have a couple of students with us, 3 actually. The room's getting full. This is terrific. We have Brendan Kelly, who is a Master of Public Administration student with us. Brendan, tell us about yourself.
Sure. I'm also a Yankee as well. I was born in Oneonta, New York. I've been working in nonprofits for about 8 years now, and I just started this semester at in the MPA program. So,
And you're living in Knoxville, is that right?
That's right. I live in Knoxville.
Okay. How do you like living down Knoxville?
Oh, it's great. It's a wonderful city. It's when my wife told me that she got a job there and we were going to move there, I was a little surprised at first because it wasn't a city growing up north. It wasn't a city I thought about much, but it's as beautiful as Richmond, Virginia, or anywhere up north even. So. Yeah.
And Brendan, you said you work in nonprofits. Can you say a little bit about that?
That's right. Yeah. When I graduated from University of Mary Washington in 2008, I did 2 years as an AmeriCorps Vista in Montana, working with nonprofits out there, and then I came back east, and I've been working as a consultant with nonprofits ever since. So,
very good.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. And Kayla, you're Kayla Luck. You're with us. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi. So I was originally born in Illinois. Did a little traveling up there. Made my way down here whenever I was young. My mom was looking just for something a little more quiet, rather than the outside of Chicago, and so we made it here, and we're living in Maynardville now. And it's a nice little place to grow up, and because of that, and LMU being so close, I started my undergrad at LMU, finished with medical laboratory science here at LMU, and I immediately began working. So you were talking about the placement. I immediately began working in a laboratory in a hospital in Knoxville, and since then I've been able to obtain a certificate in histocompatibility and immunogenetics, which is transplant. So what I do now is testing for patients and donors for kidney transplants.
And you say you graduated here undergraduate as our in our medical laboratory sciences program?
Yes.
And that's with Billy Engel, right?
Yes.
Professor Billy Engel, Dr. Billy Engel. That program has had a 100% passage rate for so many years. If I had been you, I would have missed one question, because then I would go down in history as being the one person that
You
broke.
would. He is wonderful. The faculty, Dr. Engel, Edwards, and they've always been really wonderful just to prepare us and really get us ready for that exam. Even to the point that I was the first one in our class to take the board exam.
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
following Monday after graduation, and you go in there, you're nervous, and
I'll tell you what,
then you
that's-
pass.
That's a reputation I wouldn't want to have, to be perfect for so many years. And next time you see Dr. Engel, ask him about his Corvette and me, and and we'll
okay.
have a discussion about that. We also have one other student who has called in. I think, Michelle, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Michelle, thank you for waiting. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, from Corrigan, Tennessee, so it's about an hour away from Harrogate. I actually came to LMU for my undergrad in 2011. I graduated in 2015 with my bachelor's in criminal justice, and I came back and am now finishing my last semester of the graduate criminal justice program.
Okay, and being a resident here, going through an undergraduate program, your choice was to stay here. And there are other programs, obviously, some online programs, some schools nearby that have. But you chose, any particular reason that you chose to stay here with criminal justice master's program?
I think I had a lot of support and guidance from faculty and staff throughout my undergrad that really motivated me to take the next step and do a graduate program. So I knew if I stayed, I would continue to have that support and continue to grow and learn from faculty and staff at LMU.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Let me ask Dr. Toomey for his good sense of things about graduate programs. Dr. Toomey, Assistant Dean of Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences, been here at LMU for a good number of years. Explain a little bit about the difference between a bachelor degree, a master's degree, a doctoral degree. Why would anybody go through that process, from one to the other? What is that about?
Well, a bachelor's degree here especially is based on the concept of a general liberal arts education. So you get a pretty broad background at the same time that you're specializing in a major. And in some majors, that's really what you need is a bachelor's degree. You go right into the workforce and you're set. Other professions, a student would benefit by advanced study. In master's programs particularly, you can focus in on some aspect of whatever career path you're taking and improve your job prospects and, more importantly, improve your expertise and your skill sets. In a few areas, you'd want to go even further and get a doctorate, particularly if you're interested in teaching at the college level. You'd certainly want to go on for a doctorate in that case.
Mm-hmm. Are all, Dr. Toomey, are all master's degrees the same, or are they different in some way?
Oh, not at all. In fact, there's a wide range of difference. Some really do specialize in preparing you for a specific set of job circumstances. Others are likewise more focused on things like the historiography, and in the case of history, for example, preparing you to go on. Some areas a master's degree really is not going to be enough to set you up for a career. History, in my own case, being a good example. A master's degree in history really needs to be specialized if it's going to get you a good career path. But there are some options like that. More likely, a master's degree is going to prepare you for going on to your doctorate.
Mm-hmm. So we have in our professional programs, taking nursing, for example, we have an MSN program. It might be focused even more narrowly on a family nurse practitioner, or it might be on anesthesiology or something like that. Whereas a master's in philosophy, if somebody leaves our philosophy program, it's a more general, more theoretical, more philosophical, and that person may go on to a doctoral degree.
And that's, in fact, generally the presumption for those fields, philosophy and history, and to a certain degree, English, things like that. But a master's degree, if you're careful in how you choose it, can be plenty for a very good job search, a very successful job search. And I think the ones we offer here in arts and humanities and social sciences are very good examples of that.
Are the graduate program courses, Dr. Toomey, are they harder, different, more focused than undergraduate, even in the same subject matter like history? Take undergraduate.
All of the above, yes. They are. But they need to be. I mean, the whole point is you're going to focus on something, get more in-depth, and come away with more than, I mean, it has to be worth something if you're going to do it. A master's degree has to mean something, and then if that's going to be the case, it has to be a little more focused, a little more directed. It has to require a little more of the student. It has to be something that really can, in fact, translate into a meaningful diploma.
So if someone has a master's, I'm looking here at Dr. Thrush and Dr. Atkins, Master of Criminal Justice, a Master's in Public Administration. Both of them have PhDs, as you do, in history. Is the purpose of a PhD solely to teach, or are there other uses for that kind of a degree?
Well, in the best possible world, intellectual curiosity would drive you to learn as much as you possibly can about any subject that interests you. So on that level, you just simply want to keep learning so that you can fully exercise whatever it is that interests your particular interest. But at the same time, there are certain expectations in at the college level, particularly for the faculty. One of them is that very thing, that they've done as much as they can, they've learned as much as they can, and they've got a good, broad background from which to share that information with undergraduate students. And so to that extent, yes, a doctorate is expected for college faculty.
You mentioned intellectual curiosity. I appreciate how you expressed that. When I was growing up, there was a tree out in the backyard. I used to ask my mother, can I go out there and look at that tree? And she used to tell me, she had this phrase, I'm not sure I know, she's passed away, or I'd probably ask her about this now. She used to say, curiosity killed the cat. Now, I'm not asking you to explain that, Dr. Toomey, unless you know the answer, but, and that's not my zinger question for today. I do have one in my pocket. But I never understood, but intellectual curiosity, certainly, what does that mean?
Well, I do have a cat, and she is very curious, and she's doing just fine. She's showing no ill effects of that whatsoever. I don't know that I've ever paid much credit to such a saying as that, because the rest of it, satisfaction brought her back. Yeah. Curiosity killed the cat, and satisfaction brought her back. I mean, if you're curious about something, you need to find out. I mean, you owe it to yourself as a person, as an intellectual living person. You need to find out more than what you already know. That's why we're here.
I agree. And I know those of us who have gone through, programs, undergraduate, graduate, and so on. I thank God every day for the opportunities we've been given, and I truly thank God every day to be working here. I drive to a most beautiful campus that I've ever seen anywhere. And then I get out of my car and I get to talk to young people, like these three people, Michelle, Brandon, and Kayla, and they somehow think I know something. It's amazing to me. It's a great ego kick. But anyway, Dr. Atkins, let me ask you a few things about the master to start off. I know we have 2 degree programs, and I asked Dr. Thrush, I'll hold off for a few minutes on grilling her, but tell us a bit about the MPA program before we go to break. Tell us about the MP program. What are some of the courses, the design tracks, and so on? How does that work?
Well, we currently have 3 tracks. We have a general track, which is probably the expected track for most students, but we also have a government relations and advocacy track, which is really interesting and unique because it prepares individuals who want to be maybe lobbyists or advocates for certain causes. Again, that's really unique to our university. And then we currently have a conflict management track. In our program, we have general courses about public management. We have courses about public policy. We're going to have more courses in nonprofit management and marketing and how to run those types of organizations. And our program seems to be growing, and we have more interest from the community, and I'm excited about where we're headed.
I just had a conversation with my good friend this morning, Jake Fate, Dr. Fate, who runs our MBA program here at LMU. And here's your zinger question for today.
Okay, I'm ready.
What's the difference, the core difference between an MBA and a Master of Business Administration and a Master of Public Administration? I know you 2 students here are biting at the bit. They'd love to say this, but what would you say would be the core difference?
Well, I'm asked that question often when I go out to these grad fairs, and students want to know what the difference is. The primary difference, very clearly, is that we are looking to develop leaders for the public sector and the nonprofit sector. So maybe going to be an executive in government or a nonprofit organization, as opposed to an MBA is going to be more private sector oriented. Although I really think that an MPA is much broader in scope, because we're also planning to send people to the private sector, because even if you work for a business, you're going to have to interact with government in some way. So you need to know how government operates.
Well, Jake Fate would argue the point about broadness, but we'll let that go for now. And you did answer well. You got 2 points.
You didn't stump me this time.
I tried, but that really is, there is a core difference, and one that we work toward in the courses that we have. Let me ask Kayla and Brendan a little bit about this. Are you finding? Let me say Kayla first. Tell how far along. You may have said this earlier. How far along again are you in the program? And then do you find that the program is what you expected?
So I will actually be graduating in about a month.
I'm so sorry. We'd like to keep you here another 3 or 4 years.
It's exciting. I love it here, but it's very exciting to be almost done with everything. So I was looking for programs in public administration or healthcare administration, something along those lines, before actually finding this program. And then it just seemed like it just popped up, and it kind of called to me, and so I went ahead and applied, and I don't want to say that I had I guess a particular expectation of the program, other than I wanted to learn more about being a leader and taking on more of those leadership and kind of executive style roles. And I believe throughout the program I've learned much more than that. There's so much more in the public sector than just being a leader. We've learned a lot about ethics and management of organizations, about public policy, which definitely plays a huge role in the public sector. And, those are things that I didn't really consider at the time of joining the program. So it's definitely surpassed what I thought it would.
Well, let me ask you one other thing, and Brendan, we'll have to come to you after break. But Kayla, transplant certificate.
Yes.
Where does the MPA serve its purpose for you?
So that's one of the wonderful things about the MPA program is everyone has different backgrounds. So for me, I'm really looking into nonprofit healthcare. I really enjoy the nonprofit sector, and I'm really looking into going into the healthcare administration portion, and maybe later on down the road, starting a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. My family and I starting a nonprofit in healthcare. Very
good. Well, you're certainly becoming equipped to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen listening, we're going to take a short break. This is WLMU Radio 91.3, The Gap. We're proud to be here. We'll be back in a minute or so. Thank you.
on Wednesday evenings. You can tune your radio to WLMU and hear the best blues in the tri-state area with your host, Gary Daniels. He'll be playing the best blues artists of today and the best blues artists of yesteryear. Everything from Robert Johnson, Buddy Guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Muddy Waters, and many more. It's Wednesday Evening Blues from 9 to 11, right here on 91.3 WLMU.
On Tuesday evenings here on WLMU Radio, from 6 to 7 Eastern, you can turn your radio to Music City Roots, a nationally syndicated show that originates from the stage of the Historic Factory in Franklin, Tennessee. Music City Roots features a celebration of roots revival music, Americana, folk, blues, bluegrass, Cajun, rockabilly, alternative country, and other forms of American roots sounds. Hosted by Jim Lauderdale and is aired here on WLMU Radio, 91.3 FM, streaming worldwide at 913thegap.com.
Here we are back again. This is Dr. Martin Sellers, Dean of the School of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. And I'm sitting here with expertise gone wild, if you will. Dr. Michael Toomey, Professor of History, Assistant Dean of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. Dr. Marianne Thrush, Chair of the Department of Social Sciences. Dr. Stephen Atkins, our Director of the Master of Public Administration Program. And Brendan Kelly, who is an MPA student. Kayla Luck, an MPA student, and as well Michelle Morales, who's standing by on the phone, ever vigilant and ever so kind to be holding on. And Michelle, I promise you we'll be with you in a minute. You're still there, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Just sit tight. We'll be right with you. I did want to ask Brendan, though, following up on the Master of Public Administration program. You got into the program. Why is that? And what are your expectations? Is it fulfilling what you thought it would be?
Well, I just started this semester, but I got into the program because I wanted something that would aid me in my nonprofit work and eventually lead me to bigger and better things with nonprofit organizations. So I'm looking to the program to help with that, and I think we have some pretty great things on the horizon coming up, including I heard about a nonprofit management. I'm sorry. Emphasis. Well, no, the class is coming up in the fall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm very excited about that. So,
excellent. And your dreams are coming true. I mean, look
That's
at
right.
Kayla. She's ready to get that hood, ceremonially speaking, and.
Well, and I have to say, when I was looking around at schools in the area, I was really sold on LMU after talking with Dr. Adkins. Coming back to school after 8 or 9 years, there's a lot of rust you got to shake off, and also working full time. And Dr. Adkins has been very helpful in getting me back into school shape.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. And I've always thought that it benefits an undergraduate graduating to get out in the work world for a while before a master's degree. I did that kind of, but I'm an advocate of going out to the work world 2 or 3, 4 years at least, and then coming back, because then I'd really, then the student really knows pretty much what they really want to do and what their needs are, if you will. I want to go to Dr. Marianne Thrush sitting next to me. She's running the graduate program in our master's degree in criminal justice. Can you tell us about the program, Dr. Thrush, how it operates, where it is, and so on?
Sure. This is our third year, and this semester we will have 3 more graduates. I'm very excited about that. The program is located here on the Harrogate campus. All of our Masters in Criminal Justice, Masters of Science in Criminal Justice classes are in the evening, so that people who work and want to be students, that can be arranged. Our core courses are criminological theory, issues in ethics, research, and crime and public policy. Mm-hmm. And my thing is theory.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, we're thinking we are going to move to an online program here. Mm-hmm. Will we lose the in-class seated aspect of the program by doing so?
No, the idea is to have a seated program as well as an online, so that students can come to class if they want to, or if their lifestyle or their location doesn't allow that, then they can go online and see the lecture, hear the lecture.
So can someone, what are the requirements to get into the program? What kind of undergraduate degrees would someone have to enter the program?
Pretty much anything. We like for students to have an Intro to Criminal Justice, and that's a course, an undergraduate course, that covers the basic areas of CJ, courts, policing, corrections, a little bit in theory, and then criminological theory at an undergrad level. We like for them to understand just a little bit, or the beginnings of why people are deviant, why they do deviant things.
So if I'm out here working in Harrogate as a patrolman, and I'm thinking I want to get a master's degree, and my ears just perked up. I just heard from you and I on the radio saying that LMU is going to have an online program now, and I can come to seated classes, but not required. I can do it fully online, or I can come to the seated class whenever I can. But I'm thinking to myself, well, gee, I have a degree in history. What would you say to that person?
Come on down.
Can I get in? Can I be
Of
admitted?
course. Of course.
Would you say I could maybe take simultaneously in my beginning semester, take that first intro to criminal justice? Would that be a requirement, let's say?
Generally, no. What I've done generally is the information that I teach is broad enough for students who don't have a background in the specific course material. They can pick it up, and there's certainly PowerPoints and my lecture notes from my undergrad courses that I make available to students who need that
in order to prepare
foundation. Yeah.
So they can pretty much come from any background,
Pretty
if you
much.
will,
Yeah.
and have, as long as they have the hopefulness and the steadfastness and the encouragement
Sure.
by faculty to move forward. Let me ask Michelle, you're on the line. Tell us, you're a Tennessean and who you are at LMU, undergraduate. You told us why you took the graduate program here. Is the program fulfilling your expectations? I think you're graduating here in this coming May, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us about your expectations. Are they being fulfilled? What do you feel is down the road for you?
Well, I think I came in with some expectations of there were similar professors from my undergrad experience, so I kind of thought I knew what was going to happen. I'm kind of prepared, but I've been challenged a lot in the last 2 years. I think that it was great. I think the challenges have really prepared me, especially throughout my research project for my thesis. It was a lot of challenges that I wasn't expecting, but that also made me grow and learn more. And I had Dr. Thrush, who helped me the whole way and supported me each way and told me, like, if it's not happening right now, we're going to work another way of making it work. So I think it challenges you to learn more and also grow within the field of interest.
So, Michelle, what is your thesis about?
It is about female gang membership. It is trying to find an association between control imbalance within young females, and if the control imbalance ratio may have anything to do with young females joining gangs.
Fascinating. I'm already I have 15 or 20 questions I could ask you about that, but I'm not going to go. I do have to say that, Dr. Thrush, you want to say something?
Well, Michelle has used social media to collect her data, which is the latest thing, and it's been really interesting. The final answer didn't come out the way we thought it would, but there's this incredible wealth of other data that she can use.
Well, and Michelle, what are your findings so far?
I am finding that there is some sort of association, but the types of... I did a vignette type of survey, so I showed a vignette where each character either had some sort of control over a life situation that was going on or a lack of control, and then asked about whether they thought the character would join a gang or not. So I realized that the associations that I had that were resulting from the data were not as strong, but also that there were some weak associations, but that the type of control and balance ratio, depending on the situation, had a lot to do whether had a link to female gang membership.
I see. Excellent. I appreciate your hard work, Michelle, and I know you personally, and I know you're a hard worker here around campus, involved in so many things. I have to say, and I don't mean to I would never make fun of the subject matter, but when you said female gang members, I thought about the fact that I have 3 daughters, and they're close in age, and they were pretty much a gang unto themselves. I had to deal with. Now that's not that funny, but to me it was certainly okay. I'll move on. I won't make any more jokes, I promise. Let me ask the 2 professors here, MPA and MSCJ professors, as the students come to their final part of their program, they're going to be responsible for either a thesis, a case study, an internship, an organizational project. Do either of you care to elaborate on why someone would choose one or the other and what they are?
So we do have 4 writing options, but you also could do a comprehensive exam. But if you are interested in doing research, you could go out and do a study where you're collecting either primary or secondary data. You could do a case study maybe of an organization in governments. A program paper is similar in that you maybe have an idea for how to improve an organization. So you might work with a nonprofit or governmental organization to help develop something new that organization could do to help the community. And I believe that covers all of our writing topics.
So an organizational project is different than an internship.
Well, you could, yes. If within an internship, you would work for an organization, and they would have you do whatever task that you would do, and then you would report back at the end of the program about what you did with the organization. And I would really like to see more students participate in internships, because we hope that students leaving the graduate program will be able to get jobs. And if you have an internship, you have work experience, but you've also built up work contacts.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important, leaving a grad program.
Very good.
Can I say a little bit about
please.
what our students are doing?
Sure, go ahead.
One of our students is doing a study to find out about the perception through the news media of police. And it's called a content analysis, which is kind of new.
Absolutely.
Another student is looking to see whether or not attachments to teachers and community others affects whether or not the young person will graduate from high school and go on to college.
Gotcha.
We have another student who's looking at childhood sexual abuse and domestic violence, the connection there. So some really interesting projects.
Absolutely. I know it's not lost on any of us that some of these projects might go on to actually have the program is entitled American Culture, and I explained earlier, as we all know, the program is all about how is our culture affected by these projects will have an impact on our culture. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Here we are at LMU in Claiborne County in Harrogate, Tennessee, and we're doing these wonderful projects. But I wanted to ask Dr. Toomey, by way of a hidden question. I don't like to call it a zinger. That sounds terrible, but a hidden question. Dr. Toomey, historically speaking, these are 2 programs that I think you would agree with me are rather new on the horizon of master's degree programs. I mean, criminal justice, master of public administration. When I say new, the last 40, 50 years is rather new. How has it come about that these kinds of programs developed, and do you see that there's a need in our society for these developing programs?
Well, as the job market becomes more demanding, I think the requirements for getting into the job market become equally demanding. Specialized skill sets require specialized training. And I think that's where we're seeing the advent of these types of master's programs and others like them across the country.
And I think it would be fair to say that public administration comes out of a broader public political science degree program, and criminal justice, it has its nexus, its birth, if you will, from sociology originally. But you're right, and I thank you, Dr. Toomey. Your answer is good. You get a check mark on that, by the way, that we are diversified, and necessarily so. I believe we're going to take a short break. This is American Culture, Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences. Thank you for listening so far. Back with you. This is Dr. Martin Sellers, Dean of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences here on the beautiful campus of Lincoln Memorial University, coming to you through WLMU Radio 91.3, The Gap. I want to come back to Dr. Atkins and Dr. Thrush and ask you, either of you can respond first. Tell me, what else about the program would you like to air while we have some time here?
Not so much about the program, but just about education in general, that back in the late 1800s, the profession of law enforcement was professionalized, and it started with Sir Robert Peel and the Bobbies in London, and he hired 3,000 men to become law enforcement officers in London, and he wanted them to have an education. He wanted them to be very high quality, high integrity people. That came across the pond all the way to California with August Vollmer, and he started the first school of criminology at Berkeley. And now what's happening is there's a wide variety of educational backgrounds that our law enforcement officers have, but we're moving towards more and more education, especially because our law enforcement officers are really required to interact with the community more.
So, and just a little bit more, Dr. Thrush, students who go through a Master's of Criminal Justice program, it's not simply focused on policing or police persons. What else do they do?
Well, one of our students will go back into the school system to work with juveniles. Actually, two of our students want to work with juveniles. Another student wants to work with TBI and perhaps eventually the FBI. Some students go on to law school. Some students will work with court administration.
Parole and probation.
Parole and probation, right. Yeah, and that all of those, the more education you have, the more efficient and better you'll be at your job.
You know, in today's world, with issues of security, with cyber warfare, terrorism, building walls on borders, entrepreneur, organizational company security measures, the range of places where someone with a master's degree in criminology is so broad. Michelle, what are your thoughts on the range of possible uses for a program like this?
I mean, I think in class, we can see that we're getting information, anything from information on corrections, rehabilitation, law enforcement. So you can see that you can apply this knowledge later on to whatever you want to do, because it is a pretty broad field overall. And I think you feel prepared. A lot of the professors also have personal experience within the field, sometimes in different roles that they had within the field as well. So that helps you a lot to be able to understand, not just from a textbook or from what they're saying, but also their personal experiences, and to see another perspective outside of yours. So I think that's been really interesting, and just to be able to learn more about as a student, you get to choose your elective courses or your thesis or project that you want to do, but also to focus more on the path that you want to go in as well.
Very good. And let me jump tracks a little bit over to the Master of Public Administration program, Dr. Atkins.
So I'd just like to talk a little bit more about our program. You started off by asking me what the difference between an MPA and an MBA is. And I think another important difference is that an MPA is a real hands-on type of graduate degree. We want our people doing things. Certainly there's a classroom aspect, but we also want to be out and helping the community, whether that be information or actually going out and volunteering at a nonprofit organization. But we've done a lot of exciting things, I think, this academic year. We're currently running our first 2017 LMU MPA Spring Lecture Series, where we've had, last night we had an immigration attorney come and speak about executive orders and immigration law under President Trump. We have, in 2 weeks, we have someone from the city of Knoxville coming to speak to the community about redevelopment. And we have a former Knox County law director coming to speak. And we've had very good turnout to these events so far. I'm excited that we have a student chapter, a student organization that looks at issues in local government, and they also meet during the week throughout the year. And I've been excited and honored to take students to Atlanta. We went to the annual meeting of the American Society for Public Administration, and students were exposed to presentations from speakers from all over the world, from Hong Kong, France, Italy, Spain, and to be exposed to best practices, not just in other parts of the country, but all over the world. I think that's really exciting, and I think that sets the MPA program apart. And I think that you're going to see, as we go on, more MPA programs popping up all across the country, that it's going to be increasingly important that we send well-educated leaders into government.
Brendan and Kayla, did either of you go to the ASPA program?
Yes, I attended the program a couple weeks ago, and it was wonderful. It was actually my first conference, so it was, at first I didn't really know what to expect, but getting in there and just getting to meet so many people and just the opportunities for networking and, just all these different things you're learning about other programs. And
did you sit through some panels at the conference? What was your most memorable panel, as you recall?
Oh, let's see. I actually really enjoyed the ethics panel. So there were several different administrators in ethics that were there, and they presented cases for us, and we just discussed the different cases and the ethics that surround them. So that was really interesting. There were definitely, it was very diverse on the topics that were covered in that panel and then across the conference. Totally.
It was fascinating. We had speakers come and talk about things like adventure playgrounds in Germany and land use to help children get off the streets and keep busy. There was many panels about diversity in government. One of our students, Forrest, was very interested in seminars on public budgeting. That probably wasn't my favorite topic, but I applaud him for his interest. And the ethics panel I sat in with Alex and Kayla, and it was fascinating, and it's exciting to me because these are the top minds in the field. The professor that was speaking over the ethics course wrote the book that we're going to be using this summer in the course. So it's really exciting to be able to take students to hear the top minds in the field.
It's a fascinating degree program. When I think about the fact that, in fact, I teach a local government class. We were just talking today about New York City. It's a city that has within it 5 counties or boroughs, and within that city there are 600 different governing bodies, special districts, parks, recreation, sewage. I mean, it's just a ton of things, and the transportation process is so immense. There's more mileage of roadway in New York City. It could go around the earth 3 times. I mean, it's an incredible to get across the city from one side of one borough to the other, if you walk, it would take 3 days. That's if you didn't get mugged, but that's another story. For criminal justice, am I right?
They are trying to close Rikers.
Yeah, well, that could be a problem.
May
for
help
the rest of
or
the
not.
state. It could be a problem. Rikers Island. Oh my gosh. So I'm looking at the clock here because I don't want to. We have so many other parts to this puzzle, but generally speaking, our programs here at LMU, the graduate programs, are really a benefit to those who. And tell me if I'm wrong on this, either of you. Someone can come from a wide variety of undergraduate degree program areas, but I'm noticing here across the nation in our master's degree programs, we have there's been a decrease, proportional decrease, population growing obviously. There's been a proportional decrease in students generally going on to graduate programs, and the persons who are going on to graduate programs, there are it's a 3 to 1 ratio of females to males. And I just wonder about that because, and actually, Dr. Thrush, you made me think about that when you said 3,000 bobbies. I could envision they're probably all men riding bicycles, right?
Well, they were originally.
I'm sure. And how that has changed. And I know in the police force today, there are many more females in our. So, is what we're seeing like a backlash maybe of the fact that there was not that many females in graduate school over the long run? Is that what's happening? Either of you want to comment on that?
I think there's more public acceptance of women in the workforce, that our roles as women aren't so limited and defined. That my mother's generation, for sure, they all stayed home.
Yeah.
It was odd that a woman had a profession, but in my generation, and certainly even more in the younger generations, women can do pretty much what they want to do. It's exciting.
Yeah, maybe that combined with the fact that women today are not willing to be overlooked. They're more aggressive today. If not, maybe too strong of a word, but certainly these are people who are saying, "Hey, I can do this job. Why? There shouldn't be any barriers." Dr. Atkins, you want to say something about that? We just have a minute longer.
Well, I'm not sure what the reason for the growth in females in grad school is. I certainly see it with our incoming class for next fall, that it's heavily on the female side, and I'm excited about it. And I feel like often they contribute to the class in ways that I couldn't, and so that really helps me. I think, and that's one of the interesting things about graduate school, is that you aren't being spoon-fed from an instructor maybe so much as you would be in an undergrad. It's really about everyone in the classroom contributing to the learning environment, and so that's always been helpful to me.
Yeah, and let me say something about the criminal justice program going online. We heavily utilize the discussion board program and process through Blackboard. Not to do a commercial, but it's really an excellent process for being far away but connected to the students that are in the class. As well, we will have the seated component, so students who are local and want to or come by visit for a week or two from Wisconsin or wherever, New York even, can sit in on the class. And but those will all be captured and iPodded, if you will, up in the clouds so that anybody can watch them at any time. Well, we're going to have to draw to a close. Fascinating subject. Lots of information. I still got about 13 questions I haven't had a chance to ask. I'll save them for next time. We're lucky to be here, glad to be here. Gary Daniels, thank you for helping us out. WLMU Radio, The Gap, 91.3. Dr. Martin Sellers, Dean, Arts, Humanities, Social Sciences. Thank you to all our guests. Michelle, thank you for being on the phone, and we'll see you next time.
Support for this program is made possible by Lincoln Memorial University in Harrogate, Tennessee. Further information on academics, campus life, educational programs, admissions and financial aid, and much, much more. www.lmunet.edu. This afternoon's program was produced by Dr. Martin Sellers. Our technical producer is Gary Daniels. Our student production assistant is John Hobbs. Our program director is Clay Stanifer, and our executive producer is Adam Haley. Our theme music is White Horses, as performed by Tierra Negra and Muriel Anderson. American Culture, Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences at LMU will rebroadcast again this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and next Tuesday at 7 a.m. Eastern. And this has been a WLMU radio production. Following this upcoming break, we will have some weather information for you, our listeners in the tri-state area of the Cumberland Gap. Thank you for listening in to WLMU 91.3 FM, Cumberland Gap Radio.